What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the VR Download. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about all the latest in virtual reality. We have two versions of it. Mondays, we talk about hardware and industry topics. Today, we're going to be talking about the gaming side of VR. Specifically, the games you see on the screen here are going to be the main topics of today's show. The games that we have been playing most recently this week, such as Myst VR, Warhammer Battle Sister, and Medal of Honor. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hello, G-Dog, Chris, Katayam HD, Willito, and everyone else in chat. How's everybody doing? I am David. I will be your host today, senior editor at uploadvr.com, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues here, two fine gentlemen.
Oh.
How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. Ian here.
Hello, I'm Jamie. This is the first time we've had what I'm going to call the Big Three on a podcast in a while. And yes, that might be too
Big three.
That might be too arrogant. And
The three of
don't
us.
tell Harry I
The
said that.
three of us have been at Upload for almost 5 years together.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Ian's been here for 5 years already, but Jamie and I joined at GDC 2016.
16.
Yeah.
5
so-
years covering VR.
it's
That's
been-
like 20 years in regular job.
Yeah, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's been a ride. Let's say that.
Back in my day, you were lucky to get a Gear VR game that was good.
You were just
Gear
begging
VR.
for it.
Oh
my
my
day.
gosh.
You were just begging
Yeah.
for the tiny morsels of exciting gameplay that never really
I
materialized.
cannot tell you how often I played Smash Hit because it was the only good
Yep,
game for
I was
so
going to
long.
bring up Smash It. Yeah, that's Pistol Whip. Pistol Whip. You mean Pistol Whip point, 0.1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or there was
essentially.
that one Adventure Time game that was like 20 minutes long, but it was just a platformer, and it was actually decent, so I played it like 4 times. Good stuff.
Very thorough review.
I remember that game.
So
They put
yeah,
a
we're gonna-
Christmas hat. They put a Christmas hat. It was so good because you put the Gear VR on Christmas Day, and your character had a Christmas hat. It's just a nice little touch.
Wow. So
early
meta.
example of holiday-themed content right there.
Yeah.
But everyone in the
Yeah.
chat, let us know, what are your favorite Gear VR games?
if you're old enough to remember the Gear VR,
yeah.
rest its soul.
So I guess first we will dive into what we've been playing. Medal of Honor, we're saving that for the big discussion at the end. I'm not going to talk about that yet. Instead, I'll say my answer is Contractors on Quest.
Oh, yeah.
I've been playing that a little bit. I'm going to be reviewing that next week. I'll do some videos and streams of that next week as well. Overall, it is a really, really good port. Contractors, I think they did a great job. I was really kind of struck by the difference in playing a new PC VR game like Medal of Honor versus a Quest game like Contractors, a game that has been taken from PC, optimized, ported, downgraded, optimized, streamlined for Quest like Contractors, versus a game like Medal of Honor that requires a NASA grade computer to run reasonably well, even though it doesn't even look that great. But then Contractors, like, it's just butter smooth. It reminds me of the importance of optimizing and building for your target platform and your target audience well. Because like you can see these graphics, it kind of looks like a PS2 game, like
Oh, yeah.
visually. It looks kind of like Play-Doh almost, like cardboard buildings, like it doesn't look that great. It looks a little better in the headset. Gun models are okay. But the environments, textures are very flat. But the gameplay is just so smooth, it's just so good in the gameplay. And that, I think that alone, really elevates it. And it's
Wait,
cool because
he did a forward roll in the footage just then. Did
Yeah,
the
so
man
I
physically
think-
forward roll?
Yeah, so that's what I do because I'm a real gamer. But
I
for
see.
you, I'm guessing you probably wouldn't do that.
No, my knees wouldn't be able to take that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think whenever I think you can, if you sprint and crouch, I think it does that animation for your character. Or those could just be NPCs. I'm not sure.
Just like a real Samus or Sonic rolled up in a ball moment right there. Your face is
Yeah,
just.
so
Anyway, sorry. I'm getting carried away with that.
have
It's
more
very
on,
exciting.
we'll have more on Contractors next week. But what have you guys been playing this week? Or actually, before we move on, we have a couple questions here in chat. G-Dog wants to know, is Contractors better than Onward? Tune in next week at uploadvr.com and you'll find out. And Adam says none of these are better than Hyperdash. That's one I haven't spent a lot of time with yet.
Oh,
'cause
interesting. Yeah, no, I haven't spent a lot of that time.
I need to. I have it installed on my Quest. It's a side quest. Alpha test shooter right now.
And they've got cross-platform, I believe, across everything. So it's pretty. Should be a pretty busy lobby.
Word. But yeah. What about you, Ian? What have you been playing?
Lobbies.
That's 11 for me. So I got the. So Heaney, I hope you got the adapter, but I want to talk about 11 because they're going to be one of the ones to try to get that latency. What's it called? Phase sync. They're going to try to get that phase sync employed. It's actually in there, I think, in a beta release. So if you sign up for like the beta version of that game of 11 Table Tennis, you should get better latency.
If you're listening to the audio version, you can't see the picture on screen right now, but Ian has this adapter that looks like a slingshot that he has velcroed his Quest controller to.
No.
Adapter is a very generous term.
That's a product. That's a product you can buy right now. So I love this because
people pay money for that.
For that, it's fantastic. It's amazing.
Oh my god!
And it makes table tennis at least 3 times better. I don't know how to put percentage on it, but yeah, 3 times, maybe 4 times. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, you already gave the game like a 5 out of 5, didn't you? So what? It's a
11
out of
table
5.
tennis.
Okay, you know what, Ian? Are you the guy? Are you the one that bought all of those adapters for the Wii remote so you could play tennis holding the Wii remote?
No,
I think you're that guy. You're that guy.
You've got to try this. You've got to try the adapter for this. So this is ridiculous though. They've got an adapter you can buy for AAA to make them AA batteries to reduce the weight in the Oculus Touch controller. So you can put this little plastic adapter inside the controller department and then lower the overall weight of your controller so it's that much closer to an actual paddle. So I'm waiting on the adapters to arrive to
I was
to
making a
modify
real
the battery
gamer
department.
joke, but that's
so cool.
real gamer stuff right there. That's someone get Jeff
So
Keighley on the
you
phone.
have to, when you get this printed out, when you get this printed out, you have to print a right-handed one or a left-handed one. And so I got the left-handed one since I'm a lefty. I'm telling you, you can make fun of me all I want, but this is the best. I'm going to have a story up soon, but 11 is keeping table tennis alive. And you go in there and there's a very supportive community of just, they can't go to a real table tennis club, so they're enjoying it in VR.
I would challenge you to play again, but last time we played, the latency was so bad. But I guess your internet's probably better now, right?
No. I'm on good internet. That's the thing. I played a proper match on a real internet connection, and it was glorious. Like,
okay,
and
we
then,
need to
and
play
then they're
again.
going to add the latency. Yeah,
because last time
it's going to be easy.
The footage is on the internet. It's on YouTube. You can go back and look and check. Whenever we played last time, I would swing and I would hit the ball, and then it would teleport behind me, and it was like I would lose the point. So it wasn't very fair.
Yeah, I faced off against Ian on his bad internet, and he still beat the living snot out of me. So I won't be facing Ian on good internet. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Chris, there's a lot of settings you can do in 11 to get your paddle just right, and there's actually multiple adapters you can get. There's multiple like 3D prints you can get for your controllers, and there's some good settings in there so you can adjust the paddle however you want.
I want to take a quick moment here to just compliment Ian on his turtleneck sweater. I think it looks very festive and holiday-esque, and I think he's doing a good job here. He's looking sharp, so
he's really stepped it up.
Yeah, kudos.
Thank you.
You were great. Well done.
What have you been playing, Jamie?
So earlier this week, I reviewed Warhammer Battle Sister for the Oculus Quest 1 and 2, and I liked it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's a first-person shooter, single-player campaign. There's some multiplayer coming in early 2021. I thought it was kind of on the simplistic side design-wise, but I actually quite like the production values. We're watching the first scene from the game here, which I think is actually
awesome.
one of the more impressive things I think you can see on Quest in this day and age. It's not consistently that excellent right the way through. Some of the character models are a bit troublesome. But yeah, it's developed by a UK studio that did Drop Dead, which is fun.
Oh, I like Drop Dead. Okay.
Yeah, I like Drop Dead too. And this isn't on rails like Drop Dead was, but it's still kind of basic, very go down the corridor, shoot the bad guys. There's probably like 4 or 5 enemy types that they just keep repeating throughout the game. But some of the weapons
these
are really, really fun.
environments are really pretty, though.
Yeah, for sure. It takes about 4 to 5 hours to get through the campaign. And yeah, it's really fun to just hold Warhammer weaponry and then shoot it. It doesn't have quite like the boneworksy kind of weight to it, which I kind of wish it did, considering how ridiculously huge some Warhammer weapons are. But it was it was fun. I enjoyed it. I think it's like $30 on the Oculus Store if you're interested. And yeah, 2-player co-op coming next year in like horde mode maps. So
Ooh.
it was cool.
Oh, okay, not the campaign. Okay.
Can you play the game as a pacifist? G-Dog, you cannot play a Warhammer game as a pacifist. I'm afraid there is much bloodshed to be had, as you can see here in the shooting of people's heads off. Not just headshots, but the actual shooting of the heads off, and they roll.
Yeah, I think that would be Pacifist Hammer. That is that's the game where you build birdhouses. Watching the video here, like it looks kind of fun. This is because I was talking. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to someone recently about the fact that there just aren't a whole lot of VR like shooters that have just like a narrative, like linear campaign like this,
especially on Quest 2 and 1.
Yeah, especially on Quest. Yeah, I mean, I can't even really think of very many. So having a game like this it's kind of nice. You just play through it, kind of like the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Like you just go from point A to point B, maybe explore a little bit, and fight enemies. And these are the kind of games that I used to love to play. Back on like or PS2 or whatever. Just kind of.
Well, that's what said in the review. It makes you very nostalgic for that era of PS2 tie-in shooters. I said if it's going to remind anyone of anything, it remind them of the. I think it's called Fire Warrior. Was the first-person shooter on PS2, the 40K Warhammer 40K game. And you're right. There aren't that many of them, which is why I was quite fond of it. A good reason why I was quite fond of it. It's not like it has problems. So here I'm using these gesture-based controls. They never really tell you when you're meant to use them, and they don't really seem to work very well when you're meant to use them as well.
So I'm not familiar with the Warhammer IP, but did that just say use faith to push?
Yeah, you are. So the Battle Sisters are very religious zealot types. One of my favorite things about that game is I don't know Warhammer very well, but just the terminology they use is just absolutely fantastic. They are all very religious obsessed. The guys in red love chaos, which they just scream chaos all the time. So more power to you. And then this guy here, he's a space marine, which I'm sure lots of people will be very familiar with. Just goes on about purging people in holy fire the entire game. It's literally all he talks about. It's like, okay, more power to you, man. Like, who made you so angry? Being born in the Warhammer universe, probably.
Adam makes a good point that at a young age he went all in on D&D instead of Warhammer. But Warhammer seems to have more video games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think you're accurate in that assessment, but D&D is starting to change. They're starting to adapt their source material a lot more often.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3 is excellent. It's still in early access, but I loved it. I played through that and it was fantastic. Also, there's an MMO coming out. I can't remember the name of it, but it's based on Magic the Gathering, which is Wizards of the Coast. That's not D&D, but it's very similar. And then there's also like a top-down Diablo-style D&D game in development as well. And I think they're starting to branch out more. So maybe fingers crossed, it'll change a little bit, Adam.
Monadic Media asked if it has teleporting motion. Yeah, you can use smooth, but then one of the sticks also just teleports, so you can use both at the same time, which I really, really like. Lovely feature.
Oh, that's cool.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, I like when games do that.
Cool. And look, there's my score on the screen if you're watching with all the points. You can also watch this on YouTube where I talk you through it.
Yeah, there is a voiceover, in fact. It's not just a collection of gameplay.
Yeah, for 4 minutes. And then it's like, okay, enjoy. That was the review. Chaos! So there's one more game to talk about before Medal of Honor, which is, Ian, back to you for an all-time classic.
Yeah, Myst, yeah.
Got our...
Myst, it's Myst. It's Myst. It's wonderful.
I'm going to throw a curveball. I'm going to talk about another one after you talk about Myst.
Okay. But first, Myst.
So yeah, Myst. I just sent Heaney the video. I wasn't sure if he had the video link yet, but it's Myst. I don't know. So you've never played it, David? Jamie, did you play it?
Well, no,
No,
I've
I've
played it.
actually
I never
played
finished it.
Myst.
I played it all the way back when I was in like middle school, but I never finished it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of those things where like I don't know how you played it in an age before the internet, before you could look
Oh,
up all
God,
the
yeah.
solutions. Like it's one of those games where
I remember calling my brother, who is like 15 years older, and so I remember calling him asking for advice on a few parts that I got stuck on. I think there's a clock puzzle of some kind. I remember vaguely.
Yep, that's that's the one I have in my gameplay here. Is the core the basic. Well, that's one of the first ones, and that's one of the things that's changed. So
Yeah, that's where I tapped out. So.
Yeah, they basically, yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, they basically redid all the puzzles so that they work really well in 3D. I even put on smooth locomotion for the recording because I know the viewers love smooth locomotion so much. But I use teleport through my entire gameplay, and it worked great. I love this game so much. I have such vivid memories of playing it through the first time, and this in particular, this moment when you're reading the books, it's like you're in silence in this game for so long, just nothing around you, and then all of a sudden there's a person speaking to you after 2 hours of playing the game. It's quite the effect. It just sticks with you, and it's really really kind of neat to go back to these places in VR and do the same thing. And
Because
I love that you can two-hand. You can hold a book in one hand and then manipulate puzzles with the other.
That's cool. Someone in the chat's asking, is the home environment good? Have you checked out the Quest home environment that comes with it?
Haven't checked out the home environment yet.
Oh, that's a really cool bonus.
I got access to it early, so that's one of those bonuses you get with purchase. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope more developers start doing that. I just, it's such a cool thing. Like to me, that I would almost be interested in buying the game just for that. Just alone, even if I don't play it.
Yeah, especially if they did it for something like Star Wars or something like that. That would be really cool.
Oh,
but it's
the cantina that you go to in Galaxy's Edge, so you can look out the window and stuff. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really really cool.
Heaney, is the lobby that we come into before coming into the studio 2001 inspired? I think we come. I think the room we come into before we come in here is from 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's kind of fun. I assume you guys aren't geeky enough to know that reference, but
I mean, I love that movie, but I'm not geeky enough to know that reference. Yes, but so correct me if I'm wrong. Original Myst is kind of played. You don't actually like physically move in Original Myst, right? There's like arrows on the screen. You click to go.
Right.
So this is kind of like the first time this island's been
it's
fully 3D realized.
No, they did a remake that lets you walk around.
That's the thing. That's the thing about this game. So it came out in 1993, and it was more or less a point-and-click adventure with very, very, very good visuals. And that's what made it so immersive at the time. Like people praised it for being years ahead in the immersiveness of what it could deliver. But it was literally just one frame at a time, one scene, and you had to like look around it for something to click on or to actually interact with. And I love the lighting on these little things. I was obsessed with all the light in the game is just brilliant.
It looks fantastic.
But like, it was just those stills, and it's amazing that 1993. That's all they. And then over the years, they rebuilt a real-time version of it, and there was a real 3D environment you could go down. And that game is available everywhere. You can go get it phone. Okay. And that's the way we played it through. I had installed it on my daughter's iPhone, the real Myst game, and then it's the same puzzles, and it looks a little bit different, but we could still help each other, and we could still go through that journey again together. And like by I don't know hour 2 or hour 3, she's like, I like yours better. Like she's just watching my screen, like I've casted it to a screen, and she's watching that, and she's looking at her real Myst version on her phone, and she says, "Yeah, actually, yours is prettier and better than the one I have on my phone. So I'm watching your screen more than the one I'm looking at on my phone."
That's cool. Adam,
have you played The Room VR yet, Ian?
No,
I think you would love that game.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's excellent.
it's amazing to go full circle there because you can see the influences of Myst on the room, and so it's interesting to kind of see like a game built from the ground up for VR. I understand it's just for people that want that Myst experience. I was torn between a 3 and a 4 on this game, but people who want that experience, I can't imagine this not being what you're looking for.
And it's Quest now, right? But there's a chance it might come to Rift next year because one of your negatives.
It already has a Steam page.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, it's already.
Because one of your negatives is the kind of texture popping and stuff on Quest 2, right? So it sounds like it could really benefit from a PC release for sure.
Yep.
Also explains where Firmament
is.
has been a bit. They've been working on this, right? Science been working on this, but their next game, Firmament, was crowdfunded like 2 years ago now, maybe, and it's still really nowhere to be seen. So.
Yeah, I think what was it? GDC 2018, I think, is when I played a demo of Firmament, and oh my god, that game! Even back then, I was just floored by how good it looked.
Did you see the comments from you shared this, Jamie? The comments from Cloudhead about the gallery, and I thought that was an interesting comment about what the market being too small for a game like that right now.
Yeah, about episode 3 coming back. I'm glad you reminded me because I haven't actually written anything about that yet. But I got to go back and maybe write something about that a little later today.
Wait, here's one of the
gallery is
puzzles
another one that's pretty great.
What's happening in the puzzle for audio listeners, Ian?
Yeah, so literally all you have to do here is get the 3 gears to be in the positions of 2, 2, 1. One gear turns the top 2, the other gear turns the bottom 2. And if you pull the gear down all the way, you can make one of them, the middle one, spin continuously until you let it go. And you only get like 6 or 7 turns before you have to hit that gear and reset the whole thing.
Cool. Adam Herzl just asked if there were any new IPs announced at the Game Awards last night. I don't think there was really any VR announcements at the Game Awards last night at all, even though Oculus said VR was about to take center stage. That didn't happen, did it, guys?
Oh god, what a tweet that was! The Oculus post, VR is going to take center stage, and then what do? They drop a new Myst trailer for a game that was already out, and then they launched Medal of Honor a day early with the new trailer, and I think that's it.
Not so great.
Do you think Facebook has any more surprises in store before the holiday, or is this it?
No, I think it's probably it.
I mean,
right? Or wait, wasn't The Climb 2 supposed to come out this year?
That and Jurassic World, it was kind of wishy-washy on if they'd be out this year or early next. So it's looking probably like early next. Okay. I mean, it's been a big week for Quest releases. To be fair, I don't think there's probably too much more coming for the rest of the year.
Adam,
yeah, it's been a pretty good cadence of quality stuff recently. Though they've done a pretty good job.
Adam here mentioning the $300 Rift S. We don't talk about that.
Don't do it. Don't look at that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's that can be translated as to Rift S's taken out to the ranch.
Peace.
Take out our trash. That's what Facebook's saying. Take out our trash.
Hey, don't speak ill of the Rift S.
Facebook speaking ill of them.
All those
not
landfills
me.
Still have ET in them, so we can't bury the Rift S. So we need you to buy it.
True. Should we move on to news? 2 newsy bits before we get to Medal of Honor. We good?
I think that sounds like a splendid idea. Perfectly splendid.
Oh yes.
Oh, I haven't finished that.
Me neither.
I didn't understand that reference, so I'm just going to move on.
The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, still not really even sure what that is. Vertigo Games is publishing Unplugged, the new hand tracking air guitar game.
Bell and Ted game.
Back to the Future. Yeah, essentially, right? That's actually a good way to put it. And that's coming out next year. Looks pretty cool, I think. It's going to be a risk, right? Because it's basically basically Guitar Hero, but the idea you're just using your fingers hand tracking, and you have to slide them up and down the fretboard. It's not going to be like super precise. It's just hold your finger down on the right fret, not the right string, because I genuinely don't think hand tracking could even attempt to deal with that right now.
I'm very confused why they would choose to show a left-handed guitar player, because even most left-handed people don't play
I
that
think
way.
that's just probably a solo developer project, right? And the dude's left-handed.
Yeah, maybe. I guess that's true. I find it. I think it's roughly a 5% chance it feels as good as he makes it look like he thinks it feels.
I don't know.
Because hand tracking just isn't
Yeah,
accurate enough.
well,
and there's
no,
no,
but that's
haptics.
the thing. That's
you can't feel anything.
but they put it
Well,
on.
yeah.
It doesn't feel as good as it looks, but like, I'm pretty sure. What did they give us a timeline on when they're targeting it for launch?
Just 2021 for now, I think. Maybe early they might have said, but I don't know for sure.
I think we could be due for some big hand tracking updates before this actually
Well, that's
hits.
one thing, yeah. I mean that is
Yeah, that's a fair
that's one
point.
thing, and the other side of it is you're not going to be getting the kind of like really really hardcore Guitar Hero songs with this game, are you? Because it's just not going to be able to get
Mhm.
like they're not going to put any Dragon Force or whatever in this because that would just be a mess.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be cool if we did see some really good hand tracking updates that gave us a bit more accuracy. Because I mean, even as we sit here doing it a bit, mine are being just a bit glitchy. And you're right, David, that if that doesn't hold up for even a second in the game, or if you miss a single note because of it, then the game's in serious trouble, right?
Yeah, because if you watch that video, it was all like very slow, deliberate. Like, okay, here's da da
Da, 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 da.
like that's not how any fun songs are.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Guitar Hero spin-off for DS.
Oh yeah,
that was
where you had
crazy.
that little cartridge with the
Yeah.
buttons on it. That was
That
so
was
creative.
so weird, and you flick the touchscreen. Yeah, that was
Nintendo at its most Nintendo.
yeah, basically.
It reminds me of the Pokemon Pinball on Game Boy Color with the rumble pack that you stuck in the system that shook the console.
Oh yeah.
Good times. Good
But
times.
having said all that, like it is
we-
being published by Vertigo, so I mean they do publish good stuff. They do see potential where it's
This
there.
is true.
So
This is true.
you know,
As an avid air guitar performer, I will say that I am excited to see how it turns out.
yeah.
I know many guitar solos on air guitar. I have most of them memorized. So
Well, yeah, that's real dedication that you're displaying right there.
yeah, true. Real gamer. Hashtag real gamer stuff. We have an interesting comment from Chris Richardson about Cyberpunk 2077. That $300 for a Rift S is a good way to play that with Vorpex. I haven't tried the game of Vorpex yet. I intend to soon. Generally speaking, Vorpex is about as janky as it can get. It does not feel native like a real head-tracked VR game. Maybe Cyberpunk is an exception because it is such a new game. Maybe it somehow feels better than the ones I've tried. Generally speaking, I'm not too keen on Vorpex. I haven't tried many that actually feel great, but I'm willing to try Cyberpunk because I really enjoy that game a lot. So I'll give that a shot. We have some articles at uploadvr.com about other ways you can play Cyberpunk in VR. There's a few methods. None of them are official. Hopefully we get a real mod eventually. That would be awesome with hand tracking.
Also, $300 is still a lot to spend on a headset for a janky mod at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah. See, Chris, I know they made a patch specific to the game, but ultimately, all you're doing is injecting 3D, 3D visuals with head tracking on the camera. That's all it is. They don't mod the game to add new menus or add hand tracking or add anything. You're just controlling the camera with your head. So I mean, it could be immersive and cool, but until there's a real official mod, it's not going to be like an actual VR game. In my experience, maybe this is different, but
considering how it runs on basically everything right now, adding VR official VR support on top of it is going to be a bit of a mission if they ever get around to that. Don't think it'll be on Quest 2.
Right. Yeah, the developers themselves have expressed, I would say, disinterest. They don't really seem interested in adding VR at all. Officially.
No, I mean it's one of those things, isn't it? Like right now they aren't, but like maybe if it becomes a big enough deal in the next couple of years and it makes sense. But
yeah,
I mean, I would sit and happily play it
I
with
mean,
controller.
God, by the time their next game comes out, everyone's going to be living inside the metaverse. So
This
I mean,
is true.
they take so long to make games.
This is true. Maybe they should just start working in the metaverse right now.
Yeah.
The other game to the other piece of news to talk about this week is that Resolution has announced its next new game, Demeo, which is going to be a cooperative, looking like it's tabletop, but RPG dungeon crawling game. So very much trying to like virtualize.
Looks
It looks
awesome.
really really cool. Trying to virtualize kind of D&D nights and stuff like that. It's one of those. There's a bunch of stuff that's being announced right now. I feel that it's like very reactionary to the pandemic, even though maybe we're kind of at the end of the pandemic bit right now. Not like right now, but in a couple of months, hopefully it will look like we're getting towards the light at the end.
I mean, it takes time to make
exactly
stuff,
right. But so it's kind of funny how some people are like, I've got a great idea, but I have to start making at the start of the pandemic, and it won't be finished until the end. But I'm still hopeful for this one. It's interesting because it's going to be Resolution's first game where VR is optional, so you can also play this one just on standard PC displays. But it's also coming to Quest as well.
Well, let's boycott it. It's not a real VR game.
Yeah, clearly they've lost the faith, right? That must have been what happened. We're seeing a teaser trailer right now, and all the characters are on like little pieces, little I don't know bases. I guess is what you call them.
Yeah, like the miniature for D&D or something. Yeah. And there's a dice right there, or a die. Sorry, whatever.
So I think like. I do think it's going to be like a proper tabletop VR experience, which could be really, really cool if they get it right. I remember a while ago, Resolution announced that they hired. I don't remember what his name is. I think it's Mike Booth or something like that. Who was one of the original id Software developers that worked on the original Doom. And I don't know if he's involved with this project, but I do know that as John Carmack and co were all making Doom, they had like epic D&D sessions. So it'd be cool if like some of that came from that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see. Something to say about Demeo and Unplugged and a few other games is that they will be featuring next week at Upload VR's winter wrap-up event, which is a very, very exciting thing we're doing next week, which is going to be a couple of reveals for new games coming out in 2021, some updates for games that are already out. At 9 a.m. every day next week, so Monday to Friday, we're going to have like new videos, some dev diaries, some lists, kind of things like that from so Unplugged, Demeo, Wraith, The Oblivion Afterlife, traffic jams, new gameplay from Sam and Max, first gameplay of a Mystery Quest 2 game on Monday. Ooh. And then we're going to have some cool content in the studio as well. Me and Ian are going to be talking about the biggest stories of the year of 2020. You can see our schedule's up on Stevie the TV right now. We're going to be doing like a session on what our most anticipated games of next year are. We're going to be talking VR movies with Atlas V, which is very exciting.
Hold up.
What's up?
New VR Kaiju game reveal? What is that?
I mean, I can't tell you, David.
It says new VR Kaiju.
It's what it is. It's not Rampage, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, well,
yeah. I mean,
sorry, I've just told you what it's not.
Rampage VR Tour sounds really nice right now.
That would be very, very cool.
I would love to pick up a screaming civilian and bite their head off. That'd be so fun.
I'd be able to do that. It's just it won't be called Rampage. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
And then on the Friday, we're going to be revealing our VR Awards nominations, which is exciting. We haven't actually decided any of them yet, so we're going to have to do that in the next week.
Oh no, that's going to be so tiring.
Yeah.
How many? We have to put a time limit on that. How long do you think it'll last? Let's take bets.
As long as we're all in agreement that Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is obviously Game of the Year, then I think we're fine.
Half-Life Alyx did release.
All right, let's move on.
Did Half-Life Alyx release this year? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it was released back in March, right at the start of everything.
It won VR Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Yes, we have to be defiant. We can't play copycat. Sorry, Valve. That's how the decision-making process goes around here.
Yeah.
We won't be the same as Jeff. We won't follow in your footsteps, Jeff. Never again. Anyway, time to talk, I think, about what David wants to talk about, which is
I want to talk about Rampage VR. That's what I want to talk
Okay, well
about.
that's not
But
what
I
I've got
guess-
written under big topic. Unfortunately.
We'll describe. We need to have a podcast where we just describe the dream game, and hopefully some dev out there
that
built it. Right?
that is an excellent idea. Yes,
I mean, can't we just make it?
that's what Joe Durbin and
No.
I
Well,
rest
Joe
his
Durbin?
soul. Rest
Who's
his
Joe
soul, Joe
Durbin?
Durbin.
I've never heard of Joe
But
Durbin.
Back on our the Upload VR Gamecast is what we called it when we had a podcast that we had. I think we did like 10 episodes. Is we would always talk about a dream game, and a few of those dream games got made into reality because like I said earlier, we've been at Upload so long. One of the dream games I described was Skyrim VR, and that eventually got made into a reality.
Wow, what a powerful
So-
imagination you have.
I know.
Skyrim VR.
And then Jamie over here wrote an article about wanting a full game of Astrobot, and he willed that into
Yeah.
existence.
Well, and by extension,
So,
Astrid's
we
Playroom on
need to do more
PS5,
of that.
So you have me to thank for that. Should have my check in the mail any day.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
perfect.
Anyway,
Adam is correct. Phasmophobia won best debut game, not best indie game. It was debut game. So like, it won best new game that kind of came out of nowhere. I guess would be the category.
Jeff Early Access Geek.
Which that one has optional VR support. We've streamed it here on the channel. It's quite fun, very scary, very spooky. It is probably one of the best games in terms of just making you feel so tense that your muscles ache. I think is how I would describe it. Is just incredibly stressful. Very fun though.
Yeah, I
If
will
you
not
like
be,
that, which
I
I
will not
like
be
that.
playing Phasmophobia in any way, shape, or form at any time in my life.
G-Dog, it is a separate game, so they released all like an entirely separate version of Skyrim in VR. It's not. That's a whole separate discussion. It's not a great port, but if you mod it with VR specific mods, it can be pretty
If
amazing.
they'd ever bring that to Game Pass, the VR version, that would be big, wouldn't it?
That would be on the PC
Yeah,
Game
that'd be
Pass.
really,
That'd be
really
interesting because Skyrim, the non VR version is coming to Game Pass
Yeah,
next week.
But no, but not PC, just on console. So
Yeah, G-Dog, it's the identical same game.
Yeah.
Hello, Paul. Now let's move on to the main topic, the hot topic for everyone
talking about
here.
war.
Speaking of Oculus sending things out to die, Medal of Honor.
wow!
Here we go.
Oh,
Stop
There it
sending it
is.
out to die.
Oh.
Okay, you
Jeezer.
tell me. Did they not send it out to die when they release it on the same day as Cyberpunk? They charge
I
$59.99.
mean, Cyberpunk sent it out to die.
They,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, Cyberpunk got delayed, so it's not their fault. This release date was announced ahead of time, but even just the release strategy, like you announce a release date and then you announce it, and then you release it a day early during the Game Awards when no one's.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It just.
So
And then
Yeah.
the marketing for it, like they didn't talk about this game for a year. It went completely
You-
silent. It's like they forgot it existed, and now they suddenly have to
and for
release it.
context, you're not like super keen on it, right? You gave it a 3 out of 5 in the review.
No, I mean I like it. You know, it is a fun game. So it's a conflicting game for me to review because I had trouble picking a score. I was kind of torn between a 3 or 4
Mm.
or even a 2 at one point.
Savage.
It just kind of it's all over the place. I mean that was my headline. It's fun but inconsistent. And the reason for that is because I'll describe the campaign first. Is the campaign is 6 missions, but each mission is split into like 9 to 10 segments that are about 5 minutes long
Mm.
each. And some of those segments are literally just conversation. Like there's a segment where you're sitting in the back of a truck talking to 2
Mm.
people. Or like here on the boat, this is a segment. And after a segment's over, you hit a load screen. And then it goes to the next segment. Like the game is not a continuous journey. It is a collection of vignettes that are montaged together to tell a loose story about World War II, but there's not like it doesn't feel like I'm going on, you know, like an
Yeah.
adventure or like I'm living through a story. It just feels like I'm playing highlights of someone's
And you're right
past,
that
almost,
you're
in a
right
way.
that goes back to what you were saying just now about the marketing, which was I remember like early on in one of your first interviews about the game, they said like Oculus has contracted us to do 50 missions. This is a big, deep game.
Yeah, no, that was the yeah. I actually looked up that interview. I had forgotten that I actually printed that quote. I thought that was just something I remember, but he literally told me on the record with the producer from Oculus sitting next to him that they were contractually obligated to deliver a 10+ hour game.
Jesus. Didn't some people
So
like take
that's
8 hours?
yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could beat it quickly if you play on easy and you just kind of tear through stuff and don't don't die or anything. But it's pun intended here. There you do a lot of respawning. Because the way they've kind of structured it is like here's a great example of the AI. Look at my allies.
Oh,
there you go.
God.
Thanks, guys. So the campaign is the part that was frustrating for me because there were some really cool moments. Like there's a part where you're piloting or you're controlling a gun on the back of this big. Oh, here he goes. Perfect timing. Is like the environments are super detailed. Like it's an incredible time capsule for like all of these environments and the inside of this plane and like submarines, and it's incredibly detailed in the environment, very realistic in that way. And there's a lot of variety. Like there's this section here where you're shooting down planes. You can shoot down tanks and stuff in a tank, and there's a lot of variety in that way. But there's just not much continuity between the segments.
Is there teleport?
And it doesn't. No, it's smooth
only. Oh man.
Yeah, smooth only.
Okay.
And there's also no. It's weird. It's smooth locomotion only, but there's no smooth rotation.
How does Facebook?
Who do they think they
how
are,
does
Goldenworks?
Facebook do this? Right? Like, I just don't understand. Like, where is your consistency? Where is your standardization for VR development? You are meant to be the guys. What do you want to say?
No, that's what I'm thinking. And I see when I saw Myst, right? Like I feel like this is more or less a false start. It's exactly what you said. They took this is a product that from an era that Facebook is no longer in, or a platform that they no longer support. Yeah. So at least not the way they used to. So Myst has
like to your
has
point,
a menu with teleport and all these really great comfort options, and I want to see that in all Facebook games going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, this does have some decent comfort options. So, like there are some things in here that I've never seen before as an option. Like you can turn off a lot of the gore. You can have a setting to skip extremely intense sections. Like you can just not play them. There is a setting to get rid of the screen shake effect for like explosions and gun recoil and stuff. So stuff like that is nice, but they're missing in other areas, obviously. But the other side of the game is there is full multiplayer. So the multiplayer mode is totally separate. My main issue with multiplayer is that there's not any progression at all. So you don't level up, you don't rank up, you don't unlock, any new guns or any new skins or like anything really. You just you can click on a page that shows your stats, that shows your kill death ratio in the different game modes, and that's basically it. There's 5 modes, 10 maps, 8 guns. You just jump in and you play. And so, I mean, in a way, I know a lot of people like that, that they play games to have fun. Yeah. They don't want to have to go through a progression and unlock things and hit walls of, access to content, which I agree with, but I do like the sense of progression that most modern multiplayer games have, even if it's purely cosmetic, just something to reward me.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they do Apex, I was about to say Apex Construct, Apex Legends, and they do Titanfall. These are people that know how to hook you on a shooter and keep you coming back for more. So it's just very, very bizarre that, some of the staples of those kinds of games just aren't here in this.
Hey, Alakazam, thank you for the $5 Super Chat donation.
No,
thank you very much, Alakazam. Makes a great point here in his comment. He says, love the show. Reviews are subjective. I want to tattoo that on my face. Reviews are subjective. Thank you. People love Cyberpunk. I love Cyberpunk, and he says he got his money back because he didn't like Cyberpunk. Same with Half-Life Alyx, didn't like Half-Life Alyx, and Medal of Honor is his favorite VR game. So you know what? That's
good for you, dude.
That's totally awesome. That's fine. And if you read my review or watch the review of my Medal of Honor that I did, I do like the game. A 3 out of 5 is a good score. I had fun. In my review, I even say that I think I have to spend a little more time with it, but I think this might be my favorite multiplayer VR
Mhm.
shooter, and from a purely like entertainment perspective. Like the gameplay is so good. It has this perfect balance between like authentic realism of like reloading and aiming versus accessibility. Like the example that I gave in my review is the pump action shotgun. You know, whenever you shoot, you have to pump after each shot, but then once the shells are gone, it just reloads the shells like automatically for
Mm.
you. So you don't have to fumble around and grab one and put it in and grab one, do that over and over, which is it's kind of annoying in VR. Like I get it, realism, but if I'm pinned down and surrounded by enemies and I'm trying to like fumble around and grab a grenade or do this or do that, then it can be a little annoying having to then put each shell back in the game or back in the gun
Yeah.
individually. So they like have areas like that where they've kind of struck a middle ground between accessibility and realism, and I think it really helps, especially in multiplayer, because it's so fast paced.
Any comments here? What do you think it should be priced?
Oh, I'm glad I don't have to make those kind of decisions because that's
Would
a
have been
tough
super
one
expensive to make.
because especially because it's basically three different pieces of content.
Yeah.
You have your campaign that's around 10 hours long. That's a collection of vignettes, a few epic moments. The Normandy beach level has some really cool things. You can play that video next if you want, Heaney. It's on our YouTube as well. The like D-Day beach. It kind of feels like a PS2 game in that moment because it's like giant objective markers in your UI that are very intrusive, but then at the same time it's like, like holy crap, this is the Omaha beach, this is in VR, this is pretty cool.
It's
And so I mean
that's
there are both sides
that's
to
funny
it.
that you make that comparison because Medal of Honor Frontline was the PS2 shooter with the D-Day section, right? It had that really, really, really impressive opening, and the thing I wonder about is a couple of weeks ago I reviewed Frostpoint, the new shooter from In Exile Games, and the big like cloud over that I didn't like it very much was that at some point during development Microsoft bought In Exile, and it just to me, and this is all speculation, it just really, really seemed like Microsoft were like, yeah, you can complete this game, but we're not going to help you with it. We want you making this, this, and this, and that game kind of got left to die a little bit. The thing that happened with this is that EA bought Respawn pretty soon after Facebook announced they were working with them to make a game, right? And again, like you have to wonder how much leeway did EA give Respawn to keep working on this over the past it's been in development like 3 or 4 years, I think. And
yeah,
especially when go for it.
No, I love everything you're saying. I'm nodding along to everything, and I think in particular, with a company like EA, a project of this magnitude becomes kind of like a negotiating point for next projects. So that's a company that Facebook is gonna have to contract with to make more games for the next generation, and this game then becomes like EA says we need to put it on Steam, and Facebook says, all right. I mean, like that's the way that discussion probably went.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's tricky, right? Because EA wants them to make Star Wars games. They're now maintaining Apex Legends, which has been a pretty big success for them. You've got to imagine, they're working on sequels to Jedi Fallen Order and everything.
It's kind of interesting to think about, because if you think about most of the Oculus Studios funded big VR games that they have, most of those studios, they have tied them up into making, mostly just VR games, or even outright bought them, like Sanzaro and Rad. And but in this case, this is Respawn, like EA publishes their titles. They, like you said, they have a single player Star Wars game, like the biggest property on the planet, arguably, and then they have Apex Legends, and they did Titanfall, and so I mean, this was like a side project for them,
Yeah, it seems that way.
I feel like I feel like they probably didn't, have the time or manpower to prioritize it as much as they would have liked to. From talking with the developers, I get the sense that they are obviously very passionate about
Yep.
this. A lot of them worked on Pacific Assault, back on PC. So this is, I think the developers knew what they were doing and knew what they wanted to do. But from the very beginning, it's obvious this is their first VR game. Just there's a lot of little small things, like all the UI. You can see like a lot of those objectives that pop up like that. It doesn't feel or look good
Yeah.
in VR to have stuff like that. And then, like at the very opening moment, as soon as you launch the game, there's a giant rectangle in front of you that has the entire user license agreement you have to scroll through, and it's just it was immediately took me out of it.
That is fascinating, right? The idea that this is a developer that has, an enormous amount of experience in the industry and is releasing a AAA VR blockbuster, like nearly 5 years into the age of consumer VR now. And there are already so many examples from smaller indie studios about how to do this stuff right. And even now, someone as experienced as Respawn, with, not just experience this generation, but experience with this franchise.
This was my favorite.
Yeah,
sorry, if you're watching right now, this was my favorite part of this mission, where it tells you to just run and you just see all the explosions.
That's cool.
And
but
it kind of blinks in and out like that to sort of, I'm guessing, to kind of simulate the like intensity and sort of trauma of the moment.
So which was the what was it? Call of Duty. What was the most recent game to do World War II?
Call of Duty World War II. That was the name.
This kind of gets to what I'm touching on, though. Like you just said, your favorite bit of this mission is the bit where you don't have to shoot anyone or anything. You just run forward and take in the explosions. It just seems like the game gets in the way a bit more. And maybe, maybe this is what we all need to start saying about VR is maybe you don't need 10-hour campaigns where they're basically, fluffing it out or padding it out, sorry, with these extra objectives and menial tasks, which you're in VR. It is a demanding thing. It's taking up all your attention. It's not like you can just suddenly check your phone during a loading screen or anything like that. If you're not there and engaged straight away, why are you there? And if you're making 10 hours worth of content, and some of it is just padding it out, maybe we don't need that. Maybe the Medal of Honor would have been a better game if Respawn had looked at the 10 hours they built, identified the best hour of it, and then just what's the word? But just taken that out and made that the game. Maybe we'd all be raving about this right now. I know people wouldn't be happy that it was only an hour.
And then they could alter the price. I mean, like that's kind of why we get this feeling that this partnership fell apart, is the combination of the price and not focusing it, like you're saying. Like if the two had gotten together and said, okay, this isn't working. People aren't going to like this as much as they should. Let's redo it. And I just don't think they had that conversation.
Yeah, essentially.
I think, I agree with you, but I also would say that, like, the individual pieces of this game, like the stuff that we're watching now, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like this section here where I have a clear objective, I'm just supposed to clear out the bunker. Like that is a very World War II shooter thing. Like I feel in my element here. It's familiar and it's immersive because I don't have to think about the game itself. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Like it's a very objective driven, survival based section of the game, which is very fun. But it's just everything in between. Like after this moment's over, I hit another load screen, and then I get sent back to the quartermaster. I have to go walk through a corridor again to queue up the next mission, to then go to another load screen, to then talk to a person at a table for 2 minutes to hit another load screen to go. And then it's just the way they put it together, the pieces, the way that it was structured is the main problem for me. And to go back to what I was saying earlier, the multiplayer is actually pretty fun. Like it's very fast paced. It feels old school in a way that Onward and Pavlov and Contractors don't. I think they definitely have the benefit of Respawn's talent.
Yeah.
Because if you look at a game like Onward or Contractors or Pavlov, those games that are made by very, very tiny studios, one of the biggest bottlenecks is just the map design.
Yeah.
Most of those maps just aren't very interesting. They're mostly flat. Most of them don't have layers. They don't have much destructibility. That I mean, just here in this video, even though it's kind of compressed in our studio here on the screen, like this city is incredibly detailed. You know, you do not see any maps like this in any other VR shooter. And all the environments are like this. All 10 of them are incredibly unique. There's not a single one that looks like another. You don't get them confused. The map layouts and designs are excellent. So that's the strong point of the multiplayer. And the game modes are fun. Most of them are just deathmatch with a twist. They do have domination as well. But the multiplayer is fun. So if you're mostly interested in the multiplayer side, it's still a high price tag, but it is fun. I just wish it had some progression to get you kind of coming back for more to keep playing. But what is there is quite fun. It's quite good.
It's interesting though. I was just watching the gameplay that's been going on for the past couple of minutes. I saw at one point you reach for binoculars, and it didn't seem like they were interactive. Yeah. You walk past some gas masks, then you walk past the bicycle. Obviously, it's asking quite a lot for all of those things to be super interactive, but it's just you notice these kind of like little, really exciting potentials out of the corner of your eye in every street. Ian, what it reminds you of?
What's the old adage in like theater or something? If you put like a knife or you put a gun out on like a stage in a theater, you expect that the audience starts to expect that gun to be used at some point in the play. That's really applies to VR. If you put something in the room with you, you better be able to mess with it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the first thing I did was in Half-Life Alyx was, you remember in the tutorial of the game, it's like jump that gap. You climb up like some sandbags or something, and you have to get over a wall, and it's like, okay, now you have to press this button to jump this gap. I was like, okay, I'll just go back and grab the ladder I saw just back there. And the ladder is just, baked into the environment, total like uninteractive piece of 3D scenery. And
this level here on the screen
he got my
is
reference. You guys
particularly
didn't.
impressive.
I did not. I'm sorry.
This level, I like it a lot because there's like a thin layer of fog that really is super atmospheric, and like the snow and everything. It's very detailed. I liked this level a lot. It was I think it's my favorite map for domination because the control points are really spread out, and there's a lot of cover points, but it's still open. That's another point too. Is a lot of the environments, even in the campaign, are very open. They feel huge. It feels like you're in a war. And I was thinking about this. There aren't very many VR games that have a lot of open air outdoor environments. So I think that's why the game is such a large install size. It's like 180 gigs. Asgard's Wrath was like, I think 130. But that one is a lot of indoor stuff. There's a lot of dungeons. This is, very open. Like you can see a lot of areas in the distance that you can't even go to, but it really sells you on the idea that you're, at like the front line of a war. And, just the environments, I think, are the strongest point of the game for sure.
Having played it, not confident that Facebook will have much success it will get on Quest. Yeah, well, is that what you're going to say?
Adam, I just saw Adam's comment, Chekhov's binoculars.
So sorry, do you think they should sell the multiplayer separate? Or break it out as a separate game? Okay.
I think that would be smart. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it would be a smart idea. Maybe if they do a Quest spinoff, it'll be multiplayer only.
What's going to happen to Lone Echo 2? Because hopefully that's going to be really, really good, and hopefully they're finding a way to get that onto Quest. Because otherwise it's the last Rift exclusive, right? You got to assume Facebook probably isn't going to pay anymore for PC exclusives.
What just hit me on that? They can't just put Lone Echo 2 on Quest. They have to port Lone Echo 1.
Yeah, exactly. And that is something they could do, though, isn't it? They could come out and say, actually, we've been silent for a year and a half because here's Lone Echo 1 on Quest after we did Echo VR. And yes, the sequel will be on both. It's a shame because this is the end of the, like you were saying, it's like it's a game out of time, out of era. Weirdly enough, it's Facebook publishing a game in a market it's not super interested in anymore, and it's a shame because what was it, just like 3 years ago that Facebook was promising a Rift exclusive every month, and we got some like genuinely quite cool content out of that, and now it's
From Other Suns was. I really hate what happened to that game. It could have, if they had continued updating it, that could have been something really incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's. I'm going to quote myself here. In my Medal of Honor review, I talked about how Medal of Honor is a game about war, but it's often at war with itself. Mic drop. Mic drop.
David Jack knows
it's
war.
par for the course, right? To have a Medal of Honor game that is just incredibly conflicted in so many ways, like Medal of Honor is just, I feel bad for the franchise because it used to be just such an iconic key part of any gamer's library. I played the original on PS1 so many times. Oh my god, I love that game.
It hasn't.
And the ones on PS2 and then Allied Assault, Pacific Assault, like even Airborne was pretty great. And there's a lot of great games in this series pass, and it's been 8 years, and then it's getting review bombed on Steam, which I think is a little stupid. I think it's still
review
a good game,
bombing on Steam is stupid. Yes.
It could have been amazing.
Yeah, it's a shame, and you're right in that it probably means. I mean, it might sell okay, I don't know, but if it doesn't, the series is going away again for a long time. Respawn's probably not going to do anything more with VR for a long time.
Well, they could just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
I just want Titanfall VR. That's what I want.
That'd be really, really cool.
Can Respawn and Skydance team up to make Titanfall VR?
Oh yeah, that would be so cool. So cool.
Because Archangel's solo campaign was on rails originally. It wasn't very good, but the PvP Hellfire game they put out was it was awesome. So I want Titanfall VR. That's what I want.
That'd be very cool. Well, there you have it. That's I mean, like David says, he does like it, and it is it's
a
good game,
right?
It's a free. It's a good game. It's just it's a good
game.
This is the year where Alex came out, and I would say largely delivered, and we were kind of looking towards this to be the next Alex, and that just isn't the case, right?
I would even go I'm even confident enough to say that if the multiplayer as it exists in Medal of Honor had been spun off as its own game and charged less, I would probably give that individual piece a 4 out of 5.
Damn.
And then the campaign, if it were by itself as is, I'd probably give that a 2 out of 5. So you combine them together, that's how I got to a 3 out of 5.
That hurts. That hurts me.
What do you think Facebook's focus is going to be in the future on shooters? I mean, that's I think there's only room for a couple shooters in VR. I don't think there's support for lots and lots of these going forward.
I mean,
I'm wondering. I wonder if they've tried to poach Dante from Downpour.
Oh, true.
Because they seem to be really close with him on Onward on Quest, and I'm wondering if that's something that they've tried to do. I know from talking with him, he's talked about this publicly, that Valve has tried to hire him as well. So I don't know.
That switchover when he rebuilt the launch on Quest, I mean, that was rough. But I think, relatively speaking, it was handled well. I mean, after the initial not communicating what that change was going to be well.
Yeah.
I think it, recovered well and got back on course. That's the type of thing I think Facebook should keep an eye out for if they are looking for someone, is how do you handle that kind of community?
Yeah, it's weird because the other thing is obviously we were talking last week. They just shut down Marvel and they just shut down Ripcoil as well. So those are two games that they were clearly like, all right, no more future here. What, less than 2 years, maybe just over 2 years for Marvel, and it's gone. Could that happen to Medal of Honor now as well if it doesn't thrive? It's true though, right?
Thank you, Alakazam.
Alakazam, thank you for $2 more in the super chat donations. That is fantastic. He said Quest 3 Fun 2022.
Pretty much. That's very, very wise.
It's an interesting point with Sanzaru, because they also, a lot of people have forgotten this existed, but a Rift launch title, VR Sports Challenge.
Oh, God.
They developed that one as well, which is single player only. So I'm guessing that explains why it hasn't gotten the axe yet, like Marvel and Ripcoil did. But Marvel is frustrating because you could play the whole game solo. There was AI.
Yeah, but you had to like not find anyone online to be able to do it, and they don't seem very interested in
it sucks,
saving that element of it. You're right.
They really I'm going to say that it is one of the crappiest things Facebook has done to totally remove that game, because I feel like there should have been some time and resource investment into making it playable without a server search, because it's stupid. The opening prologue of that game that's like 20 minutes long is excellent.
You could sell that.
Super fun. Yeah, just sell that as its own thing, even, because it was such a fun, just little like action romp through a city where you get to fight alongside all these heroes, and it just sucks to see it go, because I mean, even I think you gave it a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's not a great game, but it's the only way that I can play as Spider-Man and Iron Man, or not Iron Man. I forgot he's not even in it. But Captain Marvel, Thor, Deadpool, like they're just Wolverine. It's just so many characters. Like it was just for the character models alone, the training room, like just to hang out and play as the characters. It sucks.
Only place in VR you can press a button and Wolverine's claws come out of your hands, come out of your and it's just gonna go away. It's nuts to think about in that way.
Yeah.
Still. Oh well.
Rip.
Cool. I guess.
All right.
Well, that does it.
Yeah, I think we're reaching the end of the show here. It is a pleasure to spend time with you two, a fine gentleman. It was perfectly splendid. I had a good time discussing VR with the two of you, discussing Myst and Warhammer Battle Sister and Medal of Honor and Contractors and 11 Table Tennis and all of the various things that we talked about. If you are interested in seeing more Medal of Honor VR content, you can obviously check our YouTube channel. We have a full video review. It's like 7.5 minutes long. We have the entire D-Day Omaha Beach mission in a video. I also have about 8 or 9 minutes of multiplayer gameplay in a video that you can see all of that to get a real good idea of what the game's like. Battle Sister, we have a review of that on our channel as well. We have 9 minutes of Myst gameplay. So there's a lot of stuff here on our YouTube that you can see of all these games that we just talked about. Also, soon, I don't know exactly how long between now and then, but very soon today, I'm going to be going live with some Medal of Honor VR. I'm probably going to just do multiplayer because I liked it better than the campaign, but I might do a couple missions to show people if they're really interested. But I'll be live here on our YouTube channel with that later today. I think is it almost 1 o'clock Pacific? I think the time's an hour off. Wait, is it 11:44?
It says Los Angeles 11:44 behind you. I don't know what that means.
I believe that's the time where you are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we weren't in here as long as I thought.
Give me a Chicago time zone. Thank you.
David dunking on bots. I'm hoping there will be people online. The game's been out for 12 and almost 24 hours now. Okay, so it's 11:44 Pacific. Okay, so probably around 1 p.m. Pacific in about an hour or so.
I love that.
We've just
It's true. It's very
I've
true.
aged since being in here. The weight of the headset on my face is aging me rapidly.
Now that I have the Quest 2 clips for my VR power, I've got that. But since the deluxe strap with battery, I guess, doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what happened.
It went wherever a Medal of Honor is going.
I pre-ordered one and I never got it, and then they told me it was canceled. So I'm using the VR power from the Quest 1 now.
Cool. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Check back in around an hour or so for some Medal of Honor live if you want to hang out and
make
check
sure
that
to watch
out.
Winter Wrap Up. Next week.
I'm sorry, G-Dog. I forgot to answer your question. Contractors does not have a story mode, but it does have single player missions you can do and co-op missions you can do against bots.
All right.
Okay,
thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for the donations.
Bye, team.
Yeah, thank you for what was it, $7 from Alex Zam?
Awesome.
Thank you.
It was really good of you.